colours test to match for the strikes. This is pure royal green. Here it's lighter royal green. I added a bit of pure sand, but I'm not too convinced. Here we'd like to match only Noisette and pure sand. How? Here there's a significant amount of pure sand with a bit of Noisette in it. And here there's a lot of Noisette. We'll create a bit more with a touch of pure sand in it. And the colours will be entirely different. Let's stir and make this lovely cappuccino colour. And let's make 2 little stripes next to our royal green to see if we like the combination. Always do tests before going straight onto the furniture because we can't know what combinations it needs to match in your own lawn. Your walls, your lighting, the windows, the natural light, the floors. Here we've got a slightly lightened Noisette. Here we've got pure sand, slightly lightened, and here we've got royal green, which is pure. Do we like it? I'd add a bit more Noisette into the pure sand. What do you think? Emma? Elisa, how can I know the perfect measurements to recreate it if I run out of a colour? The only way is to use spoonfuls or a scale. So it's up to you to decide what to do. As always, à temps fait. Do we like it more now? A bit warmer? Yes? Perfect. Then let's get started. I drain my roller and go over the lines. Make sure you don't make the little mistake of leaving grooves, so it's better to paint a little extra bit. Let's dry it and start with the colour we've chosen for the central lines. We take the lighter shade we've mixed, brush 30 or the Tester Quadra brush or whichever brush you prefer. And let's start this job. First, I unload the brush where there's more to paint, but when I get close to the stencil, I dab. Please always remember not to let the paint seep under the stencil. Obviously, when I'm doing very large stripes or working on a wall, I prefer bigger brushes, but you need to handle them exactly as you would a stippling brush. Also remember that it needs to look good and provide good coverage, so consider whether to dry it and then immediately apply a second coat. And this obviously helps us achieve better coverage and a more finished look, also because it's not ideal to have to put the tape back on again. I'll start by doing this half first before removing the tape. So, obviously, what do? I offload the brush again on the edge of the masking tape and then dab here. Here I'll go a little further, here I try to be precise, and here I can paint freely because there will be a much wider line afterwards. I do the same thing on the other side as well. I dry it, give it a second coat, and then we'll remove the masking tape together. We carefully peel away the tape at a 45 degrees angle because doing it this way, there's a much lower risk of lifting some of the base colour. You need to take the tape, tilt it, and remove it like this. Here as well, we tilt it towards the other side, outwards. Just a reminder, you can see that we've removed it while the tape's still a bit damp. Perfect lines, and of course we haven't lifted the background paint. Now let's also remove the stencil mask so you can see the decoration. Beautiful, absolutely precise, but it will only truly make sense once we've done the second stripe as well, because here it will be indented and here it will be raised, creating the decoration. So quickly, first all the lines with this lighter colour and then all the lines with the darker colour. To reposition this stencil properly without making mistakes, what do? You remove it from where it is now. You place it next to the previous one, repositioning it like this. you take some reference points, so this other corner, this corner, this corner, and I'll also mark these two for safety, which give us the guidelines for aligning. Now we can make up the time for a row by following our dots. These two give us the first guide and these two give us the second guide. So now we need to put the masking tape on in a way that it doesn't get in the way. What do we do here? First, I'll put it on vertically to hold the stencil in place. And I put a small piece to hold the half shell so I don't risk smudging on the other side. Here, I do exactly the same thing, and here, where I don't need to paint at the moment, I can secure it more broadly, here as well. And I do the same thing on the other side here. I already have the button, and I put two little pieces on, one here, one here. Perfect. Let's press this tape down well, otherwise we risk it smudging later. And now, with the spirit level, let's draw the lines again, like this. First line with the masking tape ready, let's go. Well done, press it down enough, otherwise we risk the paint seeping underneath. Perfect, and now let's finish on this side. Let's stick it down well. I'll carry on by moving the spirit level. We cover it again as before. Let's put the green on our tape so it doesn't smudge, and then the lighter colour. Now let's reposition the stencil to recreate the stripes with the second colour.
Polish the handles, which, as you can see, are very oxidized. To achieve this result, I am going to use Jasmine oil and fine steel wool. So I put a small amount of oil on the steel wool, and now I gently start to rub. The oil helps me remove any dirt and make sure the steel wool doesn't scratch the handle too much.
I wipe it with a bit of paper just to remove the excess. And voila, look at a difference. Let's carry on with all the handles. What I'm about to say now might sound a bit strange. They haven't seen it standing up yet, have they?
No.
First, let's see how beautiful it looks standing up. It's not just beautiful, it's stunning. And the cherry on top, come here, let's show them, is the seamless continuation around the corner. In my opinion, is very, very, very cute and not at all obvious. Of course, it would have been much easier for us to do this work for you with a stencil and using just one colour, but this way is much more fun. The thing that seems strange to me, and that I'm about to say, which will definitely annoy a few people in my field, is that it's much harder to make a piece of furniture like this. So just smooth with stencil and colour rather than using lots of techniques, rather than doing an antique patina, a wax patina, colour washes, crackle effect, antiquing. What else could we throw into the makes? It's nothing like a technique such as this, where you have to be perfect, precise, and smooth on an old piece of furniture that's almost never straight, with hinges that allow it, with doors that don't scrape. It's very, very difficult. That's why now we have to choose which technique to use so that it looks attractive, well finished, and fits nicely in the context with the technique we've chosen. So it has to work well with these tones, these colours, and even the shape of the stencil, because the techniques don't always go together. Sometimes I see Renaissance style furniture where they use techniques that make it look even heavier. You think, but there are these ugly big lion's paw feet, this heavy brown piece of furniture, so I paint it white. Then they add gold to the mouldings. Well, that's not the way to make it look lighter. At most, to lighten it up, use tone on tone. And above all, make the wall behind the furniture the same colour as the furniture. That way, you make it lighter and blend it into the room. So, we'll absolutely do a decapé. Why? Because the shape of this piece of furniture really doesn't lend itself to, let's say, a restyling. Why? Because it has its hinges that are visible. These are the hinges that obviously, as you open, close, and use the actual furniture, quite inevitably end up, let's say, getting chipped. We couldn't have covered them, and there was no point taking them off, because with this piece of furniture, with this kind of restyling, what's really lovely is that you paint them and give them an aged look. So here, we're going to do a light decapé, which it has nothing to do with the decapé that you refer as shabby. Please remember, decapé is a technique, and the shabby chic style is a completely different thing. It's not just a colour, but rather a set of choices that create a style, something entirely different. To achieve a good decapé without driving yourself mad, especially with a paint like magic paint, which once it sticks, you'll never get it off again, because here we're talking about quality, a truly high quality product, there's a little trick. I use my hand tool, which never makes me strain. I've put an 80 grit sandpaper underneath, because I can here, and I take a damp sponge. This damp sponge will help me because I'm going to moisten the surface, so I slightly weaken the paint, which obviously hasn't been protected yet. And above all, it doesn't make the dust fly everywhere. There's no dust, so I don't fill the house with it. I go over it again with my sponge. Obviously the colour's still there, but I've removed the sanding dust. This light touch won't be an exaggerated decapé. It won't be a decapé that creates patches of flaking all over the furniture. It's a decapé that works solely and exclusively on the outer shapes, on the edges of the piece. However, it does warm up the atmosphere. It makes this piece look more vintage and not just a simply new painted item, because it highlights all the shapes. And so, when we get to our hinges as well, which are definitely the most distinctive feature of the furniture, they'll be perfect. Because here too, we dampen the little hinge and then gently give it an antique finish like this. Now, I'll carry on over the whole piece of furniture and do this in all the places where I want to give it a slightly aged look, but especially on the outer parts, on the areas that finish off the piece. I've already put matte protective coating in my tray. We protect it with the matte coating because we still don't know where this piece of furniture will end up. Who knows? But with the matte protective coating, we don't have any issues with the finish because it will look natural, as if it's been waxed, but at the same time it's protected and can be cleaned again and again. Today, I'm using the long pile roller because it releases a bit more product onto the surface. It self-levels very well, so I'll just give it one coat. Obviously here as well, since I've already used the roller, I've put masking tape on it. And this way, when I take it off, my roller will be nice and with volume. And above all, it won't have any dust or loose fibres coming off it. But what about you? Are you carrying on with the brush in all the places the roller can't reach? Here, I've already diluted my matte protective coating with about 10% water, but when applying the pure protective, whether it's glossy, satin or matte, it always needs to be diluted, regardless. Let's make sure our roller picks up enough product, because the roller always needs to be fully loaded to work properly. Remember, if it's not full, it won't work well. And obviously though, I need to offload it a bit, because being a long pile roller, it soaks up a lot of product. Now, let's move to the side so I can show you really clearly how to use a long pile roller. With everything I've loaded onto this roller, I could probably manage to do the whole side without picking up any more product. So first, I spread it out to even out the whole side, since obviously I have to work vertically. You know, my advice is always to dismantle the furniture as much as possible and work on it horizontally. Obviously, today it's not possible to work on every single side horizontally. So what I'm doing now is first spreading the colour everywhere so that the surface is even, because we absolutely don't want any drips or drops. As you can see, I'm also doing this nice cross rolling, so first vertically and then horizontally, and now I'll smooth it out. If it seems like there's too much on the surface, don't press down anyway, because the great thing about a long pile roller, but often even a medium pile one, is that it doesn't leave marks, because gradually the protective coat or paint self-levels. Did you see how easy it is? Using the protective coat with a roller on furniture this smooth is the smartest choice. I know many of you say you prefer the brush, but with the roller you save a lot of product, so think about it. I carry on over the whole piece of furniture and Emma helps me with the brush and the spots I can't reach. Did you see how easy it is to do niches like this even with a roller? With a brush, it wouldn't have been so easy. So try a short, medium or long pile roller. Let's put the handles on. Emma? Yes, lovely, beautiful. Restyling's finished too, so we had a lot of fun, but it also made us work up a sweat, let's be honest. It's not a little cabinet you can make in a day off, probably not even in a weekend, just to be clear. We have our own workshop, all the handy equipment, all the materials, always at hand, the sander, the dowel, all the pliers, everything. Now, if you have to improvise and do a job like this, setting yourself up in the living room or in a garage that isn't set up just for this, it might take a while. Why is that? Because it always comes down to this. It's easier to make antique-style furniture, patinated, sanded, with peeling paint, crackle effects, decoupage, or a mix of things, rather than a piece like this, because a piece like this requires extreme precision and skill. Because the finish can peel off, it can get rubbed away. It's a square-edged piece where any flaws are visible, so it's a difficult piece, but a beautiful technique. As you can see here, in terms of products used, there's only paint and a stencil. And here, with just that, we've created an incredible restyling. So when you walk into a house and see a piece like this, you say, wow, that's truly amazing. So here, there aren't any extra things, no transfers, mouldings, or anything unusual, but I assure you it's really, really striking, especially in person. I don't know if it comes across on video the same way it does in real life. So if you'd like to come and see it, remember that it will now be with us in Castellammonte. And you can buy these colours as well as the stencil you saw, which has just been released. Either on the website magicpaint.it, where you'll always find all the Magic Paint products and all the decorative items you see in our videos, or
Again on the Magic Paint website, where you'll also find our stockist lists.
there's a handy map in the retailer section where you can enter your city and find all the most convenient stockists nearby. One important thing, the retailers are divided by badge. The badge is essential because when you go to that retailer, you know what to expect. Badge 1, well-stocked stockist. Who is it usually given to?
To resellers who have just started, just opened, or to those who don't run courses but still have a good supply.
Badge number 2, which is the super badge, is given to those who already have experience, who have a lot of products, so they have a good supply, they're really well stocked, including decorative items. Because for us, it's extremely important not just to offer you Magic Paint, but also a wide range of decorative products. So everything you might need, from knobs to stencils, transfers, mouldings, everything. And then there are badge number 3 holders, who are a bit of our pride and joy, where you'll find a lot of expertise, a wealth of knowledge, plenty of advice, and a great supply of products. Then there are, let's say, the pearls of pearls, who are chosen by me every year. So it's not guaranteed that they'll have this badge every year. Sometimes they do, sometimes it's taken away, then given back again. It's a way to reward that retailer's work for the year. So if you see this super badge today, it's because they did a great job the previous year. Sometimes they really are gems who offer an incredible service, perhaps even more than I can provide in my own shop. They deserve to be recognised even more. What is this badge? It's the Super Retailer badge. And how do they see it?
There's a nice golden rosette.
On the retailer's photo, why all this fuss? Because badges are not actually issued to create a problem for the retailer, but rather to solve one. Because the moment you walk into a retailer like Super Magic, you know what to expect. At Basic Retailer, you know what to expect. You can't ask them for a course. People often ask me why they don't run courses at their local shop. Because if a retailer chooses to sell a product and not run courses, that's their choice. They lose out a lot because, in my opinion, they lose out massively, even from a human point of view, but it's a choice. So please be aware when you go to a retailer, know what you'll find and what to ask for. All right, do we have anything else to say? Yes. Where can you not find Magic Paint? Shall I say the first one, you say the second, or do you want to say the first? You won't find it on Amazon, and you won't find it in all the big DIY stores like Leroy Merlin. I need to specify that as well. Good day!